Imagine you're 65 years old. You wake up in your cozy apartment, brew an expensive cup of coffee, and look out the window, knowing that today is entirely yours. You don't have to rush to work, you don't have to count pennies at the supermarket, you have no debt. Your future is fully paid for by your past. Now, imagine the opposite. You're still 65. But every morning begins with a sticky, cold dread. You look at your electricity bill and realize that if prices rise another 10%, you'll have to choose between quality food and vital medication. You're angry at the government, at inflation, at the injustice of the system, at the entire world. But the bitter, searing truth is that this scenario was written by you personally, the very moment you turned 40. 40 is that financial halfway point after which the rules of the game change irrevocably. At 20, you have an ocean of time, but no money. At 30, you're building a career and a family, often spending everything you earn on the very foundation of your life. But when the clock ticks past 40, you enter the last chance decade. This is the time when your decisions either create a rocket that will carry you into a comfortable retirement or permanently confine you to the galleys of the working poor until the very end. In Western financial culture, this is called the point of no return. And today, we'll examine exactly why this age determines whether you'll drink expensive wine on your own terrace or count pennies in an endless line. The first thing you must realize at 40 is that the magic of compound interest has begun to work against you. If time was your best friend and ally at 20, it now turns into your cruelest debt collector. Imagine two people. The first started saving just $500 a month at 25. By 65, assuming average market returns, he will have over $1 million in his account. The second person only woke up at 40. To catch up with the first and achieve the same million by retirement, he will have to save not $500, but almost $3,000 a month. Can you sense this gap? At 40, you begin to pay a tax on being late. Every year of your delay now costs you 5 to 6 times more than in your youth. The system is designed to reward the early adopters and mercilessly and methodically punish the latecomers. If at 40 you still rely on chance, luck, or a government pension, you voluntarily sign an act of surrendering your comfort. You must understand that at this age, mathematics becomes your ultimate judge. You no longer have the luxury of making mistakes and starting from scratch. Every $1,000 you don't invest today is $10,000 you stole from your old self. The second reason 40 is a critical time is the dangerous peak of your income and expenses. It's typically around 40 that a professional reaches the peak of their career. You earn more than you ever have in your life. But this is where the most insidious trap, lifestyle inflation, slams shut. Your house has gotten bigger, your car more powerful and expensive. Your children demand ever more investment. You think you're successful, you look accomplished. But if you look at your net worth, the amount that would remain if you sold everything you owned and paid off all your loans today, you might be horrified. Most people in their 40s are poor rich. They have high salaries but practically no net worth. They're living on borrowed time, maintaining a facade of success that could crumble in one major crisis. Imagine walking a thin tightrope over an abyss. At 20, you had a safety net beneath you, the decades ahead. At 40, the rope thins and the net disappears forever. Any financial mistake now, an impulsive purchase of a luxury car, an overly lavish renovation, or an investment in a dubious project, has a devastating impact on your pension. You're no longer just spending paper, you're using your last resources to maneuver. The third factor that makes this age crucial is biology and the harsh reality of the labor market. We all like to believe we're indispensable, but let's face it, the world is getting younger, faster, and more digital. By age 50, many people face an invisible ceiling. You can be replaced by a more energetic and cheaper 30-year-old competitor at any moment. At 40, you're still at the top, but this is precisely the time when you must build a backup plan. Your retirement cannot and should not depend on your physical ability to work into old age. Your arms can get tired, your brain can burn out, your health can fail. At 40, you're not investing in abstract numbers. You're investing in your legal right to exit the game when you want. Not when the market kicks you out. It's a matter of your dignity. If by the age of 60 your assets do not feed you, you will find yourself in the humiliating position of a beggar. And this realization should burn in you now, forcing you to act. The fourth aspect is the psychology of the sandwich generation. At 40, you often find yourself squeezed between enormous responsibilities. Your children haven't yet found their feet, and your parents are already starting to demand serious care and financial support. This is the most expensive and energy-consuming period in anyone's life. If you lack financial discipline by 40, this pressure will simply crush you. You'll start making the worst mistake of all, taking money from your future retirement fund to plug the holes in your current one. It seems noble, but it's a trap. Remember the hard and fast rule of aviation. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first, then on your child. If you don't ensure your financial independence, you yourself will become a heavy burden for your children in 20 years. Your best gift to your heirs is a secure retirement, so they won't have to choose between your caregiver and the education of your own grandchildren. You must become the link in the family where financial illiteracy ends and family capital begins. The fifth rule of 40 requires a complete rethinking of your attitude toward debt. In your youth, credit seems like a window of opportunity, a way to get everything at once. But at 40, any consumer debt is a parasite that sucks your life force. If by this age you're stuck with loans for vacations, electronics, or clothing, you've got a fire in your house that needs to be put out immediately. Interest on loans is devouring your future freedom like wildfire. Your strategic goal by age 45 is to have the lowest possible debt load. Every dollar you pay the bank in interest is a dollar stolen from your 60-year-old self, who will need that money for survival and health care. At this age, you should own things, not things own your future income. Sixth, a deep understanding of inflation. In the 25 years separating you from retirement, the real purchasing power of money will fall by at least 2 to 3 times. If you simply save money in a regular bank account, you're effectively getting poorer every day while you sleep. At 40, you must understand how investment vehicles work. This is no longer a hobby for the privileged few. It's a basic survival skill. As important as reading, you must make your capital grow faster than the prices of food, housing, and quality healthcare. In English-speaking culture, the wealth gap forms precisely during this period, between those who have realized the power of assets and those who continue to believe in the security of cash under the mattress. You stand at a crossroads. One path leads to independence, the other to perpetual, debilitating anxiety. And the difference between them lies in the decisions you make right now. Moving on to the practical part, we need to talk about your attitude to risk. In your 20s and 30s, you could afford to be reckless, investing in dubious startups or aggressively trading on the stock market. You had decades to recover from the crash. At 40, your strategy should become fundamental and, frankly, boring. Your main goal now is not to hit the jackpot, but to ensure the kind of security and growth that is unaffected by market fluctuations. This is the time to build a portfolio that can withstand any storm. You are no longer a fortune hunter, you are a fortress architect. Boring bonds, reliable dividend-paying companies, real estate, these are your new best friends. The less adrenaline you experience in your investments after 40, the more you will experience in your exciting retirement. The seventh critical knot that tightens around your neck at 40 is ignoring tax planning. Most people think of taxes as an inevitable evil that happens once a year, but wealthy people view them as a major expense that can and should be managed. At 40, you're likely at the peak of your tax bracket. You're giving the government the largest share of your pie of your entire career. A minimalist and effective approach requires you to stop being a passive contributor to the system. Every dollar you legally donate in taxes today, but instead invest in your investment fund, fuels your compound interest. Explore all available tools, tax-deferred retirement plans, tax-advantaged accounts, and deductions for education or healthcare. In the English-speaking world, this is called tax efficiency. If you ignore this aspect, you're voluntarily agreeing to work 2 or 3 years longer in retirement simply because you are too lazy to understand the laws. Your goal is to keep as much as possible of what you've earned through your labor and intellect. The eighth aspect, which many realize too late, is the direct connection between your physical condition and your bank account. By the age of 40, your body no longer forgives the mistakes of your youth. Healthcare costs begin to grow exponentially. In Western financial philosophy, health is considered your primary asset. If you skimp on quality food, sleep, or regular medical checkups at 40, you're making the most unprofitable deal of your life. One serious medical disaster without proper insurance and an emergency fund can wipe out decades of savings in a matter of weeks. Moreover, what good is $1 million in your bank account at 65 if you don't have the physical strength to leave the house? At 40, your workouts at the gym aren't a matter of aesthetics, they're a matter of protecting your investments. You must invest in yourself physically to preserve your earning power, and more importantly, your ability to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Your body is a vehicle that's meant to take you to financial freedom. And if it falls apart halfway, no numbers on the screen will save you. The ninth rule of 40-year-olds is a ruthless surgical audit of your liabilities. Liabilities are all those possessions that create the illusion of wealth, but are actually a black hole in your budget. A huge apartment that's expensive to maintain, a country house that requires constant repairs, a second or third car in the family. By 40, we often accumulate this material fat, mistaking it for achievement. Minimalism at this age requires asking yourself the hard question. Does this thing serve me, or have I become a slave to it? Every piece of real estate or equipment you own demands your time and money. At 40, you must begin the process of cleansing your balance sheet. Sell what you don't use regularly. Get rid of assets whose maintenance is eating into your investment potential. Free up capital from dead bricks and metal and put it to work for your future. The less ballast you have at 40, the higher and faster you'll soar by 60. Freedom isn't having a lot of things, but having few obligations to things. The 10th factor is a fundamental shift in your thinking about consumption and status. We live in an era that literally bombards us with the idea that happiness is the next purchase. By 40, this dopamine hook becomes especially dangerous, because it's then that many face a midlife crisis and try to drown out their inner emptiness with new adult toys. You must realize that buying status is a loser's game. Financial security in old age begins when you stop caring what your neighbors or colleagues think of your car or watch. Your main goal is not to appear successful, but to own your time. This feeling of absolute security, the knowledge that you can quit your job at any time and your standard of living will remain unchanged, that's true luxury. If at 40, you're still seeking the approval of others through your spending, you're psychologically unprepared for true wealth. Your wealth is the difference between what you earn and what you spend. And the wider this gap, the faster you buy your life back from the system. The 11th rule is the imperative creation of multiple streams of income. At 40, relying solely on a single salary, no matter how high, is financial folly. The world changes like wildfire. Your industry could be automated, your company could be acquired by competitors, your position could become redundant. By 40, you must have at least one or two additional streams of income that are independent of your primary employer. This could be rental income, stock dividends, royalties from intellectual property, or a small side business grown from your hobby. Additional income at 40 is not a nice bonus. It is your insurance against life's catastrophes. It guarantees that even in the darkest hours, your capital accumulation program will not stall for a single day. You must become a self-sufficient economic unit, not a cog in someone else's machine that can be replaced at any moment. The 12th rule of 40-year-olds is continuous, fanatical learning. In the English-speaking world, this is called lifelong learning. Your diploma from 20 years ago is worth nothing today if you haven't updated your knowledge daily. The world of technology and labor markets is changing faster than you can keep up with smartphones. If you stop learning at 40, you've effectively begun to degenerate. You must invest time in studying new markets, artificial intelligence technologies, modern capital management methods, and behavioral psychology. Your brain must remain flexible, adaptable, and hungry for knowledge. Your ability to quickly learn new things is the only thing that will save you from age discrimination in the labor market in 10 to 15 years. As long as you're learning, you're competitive. The moment you decide you know it all, you've begun the countdown to financial irrelevance. The 13th factor, rarely discussed out loud, is an audit of your social circle. By 40, you should become a surgeon in your relationships. We are social creatures, and our subconscious is wired to mimic the behavior of the pack. If your friends are used to living lavishly on credit, only discussing new SUV models, and complaining about their lack of money while sipping cocktails at an expensive bar, you will inevitably begin to absorb their philosophy. You will begin to feel uncomfortable with the fact that your car is older or your phone is cheaper. At 40, you must surround yourself with people whose financial goals are higher than yours. You need those who discuss assets, growth strategies, ideas, and personal effectiveness. In the English-speaking business world, there's a concept called a power circle. Your friends at 40 should be your allies in the battle for freedom, not dead weight that drags you down to the bottom of consumer madness. If you feel like your circle is draining you of money and energy, change it without regret. Your old age is at stake, and you don't have time for political correctness. The 14th rule is planning your legacy and maintaining family financial hygiene. At 40, you should be thinking not only about how you will live in retirement, but also about what will happen to your world if you are gone tomorrow. You should have a clear, legally executed will, life insurance, and a transparent plan for your loved ones. But the most important legacy is not the money in your account, but the financial literacy of your children. If you accumulate millions, but your heirs have a consumer mentality, your capital will be destroyed in a single generation. Your task at 40 is to become a teacher. You must pass on to your children the value of work, the magic of compound interest, and the discipline of delayed gratification. Your wealth should become the foundation for your family line, not a curse that makes your children weak and dependent. True success at 40 is when you feel confident about your children's future, not because you have a lot of money, but because you have taught them how to manage it. The 15th and most rigorous rule: abandon the golden ticket illusion. By the age of 40, many people, realizing they're woefully behind on their retirement savings, begin to resort to extremes. They search for a magic bullet, a hidden cryptocurrency that will multiply their income 1,000-fold, or a dubious franchise business promising mountains of gold without any investment. This financial desperation is the perfect fodder for scammers of all stripes. Understand, at 40, you no longer have the room for a fatal mistake. You can't afford to bet everything on zero. Your path to a comfortable retirement is now a tedious, methodical, daily chore. It's the discipline of small steps. Every dollar saved and invested is a brick in your security wall. Stop looking for magic, start doing the math. The only golden ticket you have is your ability to control your spending and continually increase your assets. Everything else is smoke and mirrors, created to take away your last savings. The 16th rule is psychological preparation for the decade of harvest. From 40 to 50 is your decisive marathon. These are the years when you should work at maximum capacity, but live as modestly as possible relative to your income. Many call this the period of financial monasticism. You must consciously limit your consumption in order to channel your capital into investment. This requires tremendous inner strength, because it is during this period that your colleagues and acquaintances will be buying their most expensive toys. You will have to learn to feel superior, not from owning a new thing, but from watching your net worth grow before your eyes. Your reward is not the envy of your neighbors today, but absolute freedom tomorrow. At 50, you must look back on the results of 10 years of labor and see there the foundation that will allow you to never again experience fear of the future. The 17th factor is recognizing the value of time over money. This is a paradox that becomes apparent precisely at 40. In your youth, you're willing to spend time to save a little money. You drive across town to find a cheap item or spend hours searching for a deal. At 40, you must start doing the opposite, buying time with money. You hire people for routine tasks, buy tools that speed up your work, invest in the logistics of your life. Why? To free up time for two things: what brings you even more money, high-level work, strategy, and what gives your life meaning, family, health, leisure. Time at 40 is your scarcest resource. If you waste it on things that can be delegated for a small fee, you're robbing yourself of your potential. Learn to value your hour the way the world's best professionals do. The 18th rule of 40 is the transition from active hunting to cultivating a garden. Your income must gradually change its nature. If at 40, 100% of your income comes from your own personal efforts, working with your hands or your mind in the moment, you're at risk. Your strategic goal is to have at least 30 to 40% of your expenses covered by passive income by age 50. You must stop being a hunter who eats only what he catches today. You must become a gardener who planted trees many years ago and is now beginning to reap the first fruits. This changes your psychology. You stop being aggressive and nervous. You become calm and strategic. This calm in itself is a powerful competitive advantage, allowing you to make better decisions and attract the best opportunities. The 19th rule is readiness for change and anti-fragility. Nassim Taleb's term is perfect for a 40-year-old's financial plan. Your system shouldn't just withstand crises, it should improve from them. This means having a reserve of cash for when markets collapse, so you can buy assets at a fraction of the price. It means having skills that are in demand during a crisis. It means being psychologically prepared for the possibility of the old world collapsing. and having a plan B, C, and D. At 40, you can't afford to be fragile. Your financial fortress should have multiple defense perimeters. If one falls, the others should hold. This is true stability, not the absence of change, but a readiness for it. And finally, the 20th and final rule. It's both the simplest and the most difficult. Your future isn't what happens to you in 25 years. Your future is what you do in the next 15 minutes after you finish reading this. The difference between a comfortable old age and a stressful one lies in the ability to transition from theory to practice. At 40, you no longer have time to get ready for the start. You're already on the battlefield. Every choice you make, buy another trinket or buy shares in a reliable company, is a vote you cast for one of two life scenarios. Look at your hands. In 25 years, these hands will either be holding a glass of wine on the patio of a house whose mortgage is long since paid off, or they will be shaking with tension, counting change at the cash register. And this choice isn't made when you turn 65. It's made today, now, when you're 40 and still have strength, intelligence, and most importantly, the last remnants of that priceless resource called time. Don't betray your future self. Get up, open your accounts, face the truth, and start building your freedom brick by brick. Your time has passed, and it will never return. Make sure that in a quarter of a century, you look at yourself in the mirror with a smile of relief, not a grimace of regret. You are the sole architect of your destiny. Start building right now.